What up, what up, what up, Entourage? Welcome to today's video recap of week 5, preview of Monday Night Football. Another crazy week, guys. I tell you, I don't know what to think these days, but please give me a like, give me a thumbs up, help that algorithm, help your boy grow your brand so I can make more content. The less I have to work on the business side of things, the more content I could produce. So every little bit of support goes a long way, guys. As always, if you're interested in my premium content, some really good stuff on there. Waiver wire email every week, trade targets, rankings, updated rankings, 4 emails a week, just $20 for the rest of the season or $9.99 a month. That's on my Patreon. I'll leave a link. And you could also sponsor a rapper for 99 cents or $1 a month. So much appreciated to all those who have supported me. And even if you just come and give me a like and comment, that goes a long way too. So I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. But now let's talk some football. I'm gonna go through this real quick because I got a meeting. But lots went down, had to go back. A lot of you guys are anxious. I get a lot of questions like after these games, but there's no way for me to go back for me to watch every single game at the same time on Sunday. So sometimes I don't always answer your questions immediately unless it's something simple that I know and I feel confident enough, because I never want to give you guys false information. You know what I'm saying? I could be wrong, but I never just want to rush your answers. So a lot of the questions that you guys have, you're probably going to find out in this video. So let's do this rapid speed, starting with last Monday night, Seattle, Minnesota. Boy, Metcalf. He is, for me, a top 5 receiver the rest of the way. I think that buy window has pretty much closed, but he is just amazing. I think I mentioned selling Tyler Lockett, and this is why he just has his blow-up games, but the true number 1 receiver. And Metcalf is the type of receiver, he doesn't need a lot of targets, which is great because he can catch a deep pass and make his day on one play. He's a big red zone target. As you saw, he got 2 touchdowns, and he's just an overall beast. So that's my takeaway on Seattle. Of course, Russell Wilson did his thing, had 3 touchdowns, but that's expected against the Minnesota's defense. Chris Carson, what it's impressed me with him the most, I mean, he always balls when he's not injured, but he's getting a lot of targets. I think he's caught 6 or 7 targets, and he didn't get a lot of carries, but he did get that touchdown, 8 for 52. And when you catch 6 or 7 passes, even though he didn't get a lot of yards, that counts for a lot. Minnesota side of things, Alexander looked damn good. I mean, Cook looked good as well before he went out. Alexander looked just as good. Thielen, a lot of people worry about him. He had 1 down week, and he's been on a tear. There's enough balls to go around for him and Jefferson to be significant. So Thielen definitely did his thing, looking like a top 10 receiver as usual. Another one, he always balls when he's healthy, and he's obviously Kirk Cousins' favorite weapon. Carolina and Atlanta, Teddy Bridgewater just keeps rolling. This guy just gets the job done. Really, really good, solid quarterback. Obviously, the matchup was there. Mike Davis, this guy's on fire. He's another one that's getting crazy targets. I believe he had 9 of 10. He caught 9 of 10 passes his way, 60 yards. Then he had 16 carries for 89 yards, 5.6 average. This guy's unstoppable. Really had 8 for 136. So a nice bounce back game for him. Looks like McCaffrey is going to be, I think he's getting closer to returning. So I would try to, if there's such thing as buy low, some people might be scared of McCaffrey because Mike Davis has played so good. So I would try to buy low on McCaffrey. Just on a side note. Gurley did his thing, but he just doesn't look the part. Carolina is just that bad against the run. But Gurley did have himself a nice game. He had that huge touchdown run, 14 for 121 and a touchdown. He also caught 4 passes. Had some receiving yards as well. Robbie Anderson, he's officially the new number 1 in Carolina. Sorry for jumping teams, but he's just getting the job done. Now to jump teams again. Atlanta, everybody thought he would just be the new Hooper, and this is bothering me here, guys. Sorry. And that's just hasn't happened. So speaking of Hooper's actually looked pretty good. So Hurst, a lot of people ask me, hey, do we give up on Hurst? Should we drop Hurst? The question you guys got to ask yourself is, who are you dropping him for? Because he still was second in the team in targets. So make sure when you ask me a question, are we dropping Gesicki? Are we doing for who? For Traquan Smith, no. For you know, insert a tight end for Hooper, maybe. You know what I'm saying? So everything is relative, and that's my pet peeve. I've been getting a lot of blanket questions like, are we down on this part? Like everything is relative. Everything's relative. Moving quite along here, Raiders and Chiefs. What an upset. Derek Carr, 3 touchdowns. I don't know if it had to do with the return of Henry Ruggs. And this just goes to show how unpredictable football and fantasy football is. Like, no matter how good you think you are, for us to think that the Raiders were going to drop 40 points, as good as the Chiefs defense has been looking as of late, and Derek Carr would throw 3 touchdowns. Henry Ruggs had 2 bombs. Really like Henry Ruggs. Probably going to be, top waiver this week. But Jacobs, I don't know. Like, is it Henry Ruggs that all of a sudden Derek Carr looked great? Jacobs had 2 touchdowns on the ground. Still not doing much in the passing game. But again, when you have 2 touchdowns, that makes up for a lot. Even Nelson Aguilar has been getting in on the action. I think he had like 14 points the last 2 weeks, something like that. So, yeah, Sammy Watkins is injured, so Mecole Hardman might be a thing. I kind of talked in my premium content. I mentioned him. He could be a wide receiver 3, if Sammy Watkins is out. So, definitely Mecole Hardman, if he's available, he's going to be on my waiver list. Tyree Kill did his thing. They've been doing a lot of this end around sweeps. I think that's 2 weeks in a row. He's been pretty consistent. Had 78 yards receiving as well. Arizona and the Jets. Kyler Murray did his thing, 380 yards, had a touchdown in the air and another one on the ground. So he continues to get it done in both areas. Drake finally scored. I don't know. I would still be. Oh, somebody asked about CH. Just the game flow. He still got targets. He only caught 3 of 8 targets, though, which is weird because Las Vegas is usually pretty generous around there. But I'm not worried about CEH. Only had 10 carries, but he did have the targets. So the volume is there. He's just not scoring touchdowns. That'll come. So definitely not worried about CEH. Drake, I would try to sell high in his touchdowns. Edmonds has looked, he's almost got exclusively the passing work. And he's just looked better. He's looked more explosive. He had a long touchdown run. So I like Edmonds. I think he could be an every week flex. What I didn't expect was Edmonds to have such a big role. And now that he does, I really don't like Drake all that much. So I would try to sell high on him. D-Hop, 6 of 7 passes, 131 yards and a touchdown. But what do you expect against the Jets? Le'Veon Bell actually did pretty decent, 13 carries, 60 yards. But Gore continues to have a role. Looks like Adam Gase love affair with Gore continues. So maybe Adam Gase will get fired, although every day I say that and still has a job. So I don't know what the heck is going on with that. Crowder continues to do his thing out of the slot, 8 passes, 116 yards and a touchdown. Philadelphia, is there a more frustrating player than Carson Wentz? Like, literally, this guy just plays down to his. I feel like Russell Wilson does it a little bit as well, but not to the extreme. At least in years past, Russell Wilson's been extremely consistent this year. But in years past, Russell Wilson will throw like 4 touchdowns against the Baltimore Ravens, and then he'll play the Cardinals and throw like 1. Carson Wentz has become that guy. He just looks awful. He looks down and out. Now, he still threw 2 interceptions, but he had over 250 yards passing and 2 touchdowns against the Pittsburgh Steelers with like no receivers. This guy Fulgham, I don't know where he came from, but he had 10 catches, 152 yards and a touchdown. Ward also had a touchdown. Ertz continues to disappoint. You would think he would get more targets and therefore more points since Goddard's out and they have no receivers, but that hasn't been the case. Wouldn't surprise me one bit if Goddard is the clear number 1 tight end when they come back too. We'll see. Connor saved his day with a touchdown, only 44 yards rushing, but we kind of expected that. Philadelphia is good at stopping the run. It's kind of an interesting dynamic with Benny Snell and Anthony McFarland. Benny Snell got a lot more work in than Anthony McFarland. Nobody did anything, but that's something you want to, keep an eye out for. So, because I definitely want the Pittsburgh Steelers cuff. I definitely want, whoever is going to back up Connor, but it's kind of weird right now. We don't really know who that's going to be. Juju, man, this guy just continues to disappoint. I've lost all faith in Juju. I told you guys to sell him 2 weeks ago, and this is why. Even with the best situation, not for Deontay Johnson, which he's injured. We don't know how long that lasts. I think it was a concussion, but he's just not getting it done. And it's weird that I don't know what it is. They're just not giving him a lot of targets, not giving him any depth of targets, and Chase Claypool just looks like a monster, and I'm so mad I didn't play him in DFS. I actually forgot. In my DFS, the people that are part of my secret society, if you're interested in that, a lot of people are making money, especially this last week. Like I had like every right call, and then I forgot to put Claypool, and I mentioned in my video. But anyway, so let me know if you're interested in that. fantasyfootballrapper@gmail.com. Some good stuff, and I just keep getting better and better and better. So as the season goes along, warming up. Big Ben continues to do good. Big Ben, 3 touchdowns. Must say I'm quite impressed. And obviously, I think Claypool's for real. Here's the thing. Claypool, nobody doubted his talent. The thing with him, he had like the most amazing combine ever, but they thought he was too big to be a receiver. But meanwhile, he runs like a 4.4, has like a 40-something inch vertical, crazy. But they thought he was raw. Well, it appears like kind of like DK Metcalf, where these guys are just built like tanks, and those type of bodies don't usually mold well into the NFL because even though they're extremely athletic and big, they're just not fluid enough to play receiver. But guys, Claypool, I did not expect him to come along this fast. I don't think anybody did. The fact that he has played as well as he has this early, the perfect dynasty buy, and he will be probably a top waiver tomorrow. Rams versus Washington. Kyle Allen's the quarterback. Kyle Allen gets hurt. I like that he was targeting Gibson at least early, and then they kind of went away from that. J.D. McKissick is like that thorn in your side. Every year, there's always that one running back, and actually, it's kind of like that in LA too. It's like, who's the lead back? Akers did the best rushing the ball, but Henderson had the touchdown. He had one in the air. He had one on the ground, and he looks really solid too. He looks explosive. He looks like he's finishing off runs, and then they're giving Malcolm Brown the most snaps out of everybody. So it's a shit show. It probably will, work itself out, but right now it's really frustrating. I still like Cam Akers long-term best, but it's like J.K. Dobbins in Baltimore. Like, you might have to wait a little bit for that to settle. Everett, 4 for 90. Higbee played 82% of the snaps, and Everett only played 44, yet Everett had the big plays. I think that's more of an anomaly, just kind of a fluky thing, but it's kind of annoying because they're just not throwing much at a tight end, and they pretty much switched where they were running a lot of 12 personnel, and Cooper Kupp was only getting like 50 to 60% of snaps. Now Cooper Kupp's getting like 80 to 90, or more like 80, and they're not running as much 12 personnel. So I don't think Higbee is going to be quite what we thought he was going to be. So you can't really sell because nobody's going to buy you. So, I mean, if you could get a Gesicki in his place, or possibly even, if you want to flip-flop him or Hurst or Hooper or Schultz, whatever. But I got no problem with that. But you might just have to ride it out. We'll see. The tight end position, even Ertz. Outside of Kelsey, Andrews, and Kittles, who didn't have the best game, they're all the same. Goff continues to play good, 3 touchdowns. Woods had himself a game. Kupp was a little. That's another one I mentioned in the DFS. Good matchup. Bengals and Ravens. It's officially time to sell Lamar. I don't like what I've seen at all. At all. Like, even his first game, he had like 29 points, but is Lamar Jackson ever going to throw for 200 yards? And guys, if you're watching, if you could give me a thumbs up, it does help my algorithm. I do appreciate that. Try to even up the ratio here. But yeah, Lamar is just not Lamar. He didn't even rush for much. Like, he had like 17 points in my league. It was terrible. Dobbins, only 1 rush, but he took it for 34 yards. It sucks. Every time he touches the ball, he does something. He's way better than Ingram. Ingram had 11 carries, 57 yards, and all of them came on basically that 120-yard run. Andrews continues to be Lamar's favorite weapon. Had himself a good game. He always kills Cincinnati. Mixon. Gotta love what you see out of Mixon. In a game that was like the worst possible matchup for him, they're behind. Baltimore's got a good rush defense. He still carried the ball 24 times, 59 yards. Obviously, that's not great, but he had 8 targets. Caught 6 of them for 35 yards. So if that's his floor, I'll take that any day. There's going to be better days to come. T. Higgins continues to look good. I think he ran the most routes. he could end up being, I would say, the wide receiver one. Kind of like the wide receiver one because Boyd plays the slot, but I still like Boyd more in PPR. But T. Higgins is definitely a thing. AJ Green, as usual, is hurt his hamstring. So I like T. Higgins. He looks like he could be a wide receiver three in the start of the rest of the way. Um, Marquise Brown, Hollywood. He just continues to look amazing. Just Lamar can't hit him. Finally got him on touchdown because Hollywood basically made. I mean, Hollywood. Do you guys watch the games? There's not a receiver in the league right now that's getting more separation than Hollywood Brown. Yet Lamar is just. He just looks lost, man. It's really sad. It looks like another Colin Kaepernick, Cam Newton. Do you guys know? Because a lot of you guys are young. Cam Newton, his best year from a passing standpoint was his rookie year. His rookie year, and we see that so much because remember, Lamar didn't start his whole year, his whole rookie year. He came later, and he wasn't that great at passing. Then last year, he had a pretty good year. And, this is the NFL. It's a parity league. People figure you out, and it looks like they figured Lamar out. You cannot get by just being a one-read quarterback, which is what Colin Kaepernick, Cam Newton, and now Lamar Jackson. A lot of these quarterbacks that just burst on the scene. Now, Cam obviously was still a good quarterback for many years to come. He won the MVP, but a lot of that had to do with his running, which we didn't even see last game for Lamar. So, but you could only run so much. You could only run so much, and I feel like Colin Kaepernick, or I feel like Lamar Jackson's the next Colin Kaepernick, so to speak. Jags versus Houston. Watson, we expected him to get on. Well, we expected him to do more last week. He had 3 touchdowns. I would sell high on Watson. I have no faith in Houston's offense. I mean, it's the Jaguars. The Jaguars' defense is bad with all their players, and their 2 best players were out. Allen, defensive end, their pass rusher, and C.J. Anderson, their best corner. So, Cooks, great. I was only touting Cook, telling people he's going to get 30 points against Minnesota. He gets 0. Then the week later, I don't mention Cook. He goes off for, what'd he get? 8 for 161 yards and a touchdown. Ridiculous. Minshew puts up fantasy points. I guess that's what we care about, but doesn't look good. Doesn't look good for Shark. I'd be trying to sell Shark. The only player I kind of trust is Laviska Shenault because of the type of role he plays. He's the slot. He's going to get high efficiency targets. Minshew does not have a strong arm at all, so that plays to his strength, and he always does something with the ball. So I do like Laviska Shenault a lot moving forward. 7 for 79. I feel like I've been saying his name all along. Robinson, I've been kind of saying that you guys should sell him. Only had 13 carries for 48 yards, so I really don't like Robinson all that much, but it looks like the high window might have closed, so we might have to wait it for another big game, and I think you'll have him. But just the Jaguars offense as a whole, I would like the Jaguars to draft Trevor Lawrence. I'm not big on Minshew despite him putting up fantasy points. Just the talent's not there. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Fins and the 49ers. Oh, David Johnson sucks on another note. He can't even do it against the Jags, even though he rushed for some shit, but whatever. Fins versus the 49ers. Fitz, 350 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, I just don't understand football. That just goes to show how bad the Giants are. I thought the Giants would beat the 49ers. Like, the 49ers defense got to be trashed. The whole defense is hurt. And they've been trashing teams like the Giants and Philadelphia. Maybe they just got the NFC East number. But then they let Miami fly all across the world or the U.S. and come in there and drop, 40-something points on them? Embarrassing. Jimmy sucks. I've been saying this all along. I'm a Niner fan, and I tell him, I'm like, the Niners are not going to win because Jimmy could only throw it 3 yards, and that's why I didn't like Debo, and they actually benched Jimmy, and so I still don't like Debo. He had 8 targets, only 3 catches. Kittle's cool. He's safe, but you kind of want to hope C.J. Bradford is the quarterback. I actually think he's better than Jimmy and can do more. But yeah, I want no 49ers. Mostert could be, a very good weekly flex with RB2 upside. Preston Williams, was this a coming out party? I don't know. It's very well possible because the talent's there. 4 catches, 160 yards, 106 yards, and a touchdown. He's probably on a lot of waivers. He'll definitely be on my list. And yeah, so I don't really want any Dolphins. Fitz is still risky. I feel like, he'll, just when you think he's good, he'll let you down. Parker, only 2 catches for 50 yards, even though the matchup was there. So we don't know if we might be witnessing a transition. But Parker's still getting more targets. Preston Williams, we definitely want to see him get more targets. So I'm not ready to say he's turned the corner just yet, but he did have himself a game. Browns and Colts. Colts defense just goes to show how good Darius Leonard is. He was out this game, and they gave up 30 points first time this year. Baker, I think it was a result of Leonard not being there. Obviously, Kareem Hunt, 20 carries first game, also had 3 catches, 21 yards, and a touchdown. Seems like he gets a receiving touchdown every game. Full workhorse, everyday starter, obviously. I'm kind of shocked. I'm a little shocked, not like super shocked, but they, Ernest Johnson, whatever, had 8 carries, but it was the Kareem Hunt show. Landry, 4 catches, 88 yards. Don't really like him. OBJ, I'm kind of liking a little bit. It looks like OBJ might have a safe floor. On paper, it didn't look good, even though, like I mentioned, it looks like the Colts weren't the same without Darius Leonard. But if OBJ, 5 for 58, it's not a great game. But here's the thing, guys. You want to build a team, a real team, not just a team that's relying on one player. Of course, you're going to have your home run hitters. That's eventually who you're going to win with. But if your home run hitters get you 30 or 25, and then your other guys get you less than 10, that kills you. So at least if you get me 10, even if it's a great player, you got to hope that you have other players that could get you, the 18, 20 plus games, and then you could win that way. It's those players like Tyler Lockett that are getting 0s and 4 points and things like that. That's what kills you. So if OBJ, if on a bad day, he'll still get you 10 points, and then he's got that 25, 20, 30 point upside, what he did with Dallas Cowboys, that works. You could win that way. Rivers sucks. I told everybody with a pulse that Jacoby Brissett would be better, but nobody want to listen. And he's showing that. Very disappointed. T.Y. Hilton had his best game, which wasn't even that great. Jonathan Taylor only getting 12 carries. That sucks. 57 yards, but he's doing something with it. Had a touchdown. Browns were very good against defending the run as well. So I wish they'll give him more. I do expect them to give him more, but 50% of the snaps is just not going to cut it. He needs more work. He needs more work in the passing game. He's great. And I do, if you can, buy low on him, And then finally, the Giants and Cowboys, total shit show. We expected. Daniel Jones. I mean, you got to be freaking kidding me. You cannot throw a touchdown against the Dallas Cowboys. Drop them and talk about, I think the players that have hurt me the most I think it's Juju and Daniel Jones. I was really, really high on Daniel Jones, man. It's a shit show. Slayton, still high on Slayton. I mean, it is Dallas Cowboys, so he's not going to catch 8 balls for 129 yards every week, but just goes to show how talented he is. CeeDee Lamb. Oh boy, CeeDee Lamb. That dude is amazing. I don't think I have him in any leagues, and I'm kind of upset about that, but man, oh man, CeeDee Lamb. I love this guy. He's definitely an every week starter. Zeke did his thing, 2 touchdowns. Gallup, 4 for 73. Amari had the bad game, but Amari, I wouldn't say I would buy low because I don't know. It's just me. I think I mentioned this before. Just certain players I don't like Bell, Melvin Gordon, and Amari Cooper is just one of those players. Even though he balls, part of me wants to tell you to buy low because he was against James Bradbury. James Bradbury is shutting everybody down, so I don't think that had anything to do with Amari. But here's why you also can't buy low. In addition to being Amari, where he just disappears in games like yesterday, although I don't blame him as much, we don't know what his chemistry is going to be with Andy Dalton. So he had a ton of targets with Dak, and they had the chemistry, but it may not be that way with Dalton. But I will tell you this, Dalton is a must add. I don't think there's any drop off between Dak Prescott and Andy Dalton. Maybe the scrambling, but Dak doesn't even scramble that much. But I never thought Dak was that good. That's why he disappears a lot of games versus good teams. He hasn't done it this year, but they haven't really played anybody this year. So Andy Dalton, to me, there's really no drop off. No drop off. He could be a QB1 the rest of the way because, guys, when you're throwing to Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup's your third receiver, and you got Zeke, I'm buying Dalton. And if anybody, if if you want to go after these players, you got owners that think there's going to be a drop off between Dak and Dalton. Take advantage of that and get any Cowboys because the offense, like I said, Andy Dalton doesn't have the strongest arm, but he might be more accurate than Dak, and this system is tailor made for him. All right, guys. Now for tonight's game between the Chargers and the Saints. This is interesting. It's an interesting game. The Chargers, I don't know if you guys knew this, you should know this, drafted Drew Brees. He did okay with them. He was just starting to break out, and then he got injured, and then they elected not to re-sign him. They had drafted Phillip Rivers, and the rest is history. They got no Super Bowls. Drew Brees has one. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays against his former team because I know he's going to be up for that game. Obviously, he wants to prove him wrong. But Chargers, with the exception of last week, facing Brady, have been a really good defense against the pass. But they have some injuries. They have Melvin Ingram out. I think Kamara is going to go ham. Joey Bosa, I'm not sure if he's going to play. Chris Harris is out. So they are banged up. Drew Brees at home, Monday Night Football against his former team. I think he should have a pretty decent game. But I also feel like it could go either way depending on which Chargers defense shows up. From a DFS standpoint, there's this guy, I think his name is Boykins, might be a sleeper because Michael Thomas is out and Deontay Harris is out, so he's their third. So I'm kind of give you a DFS tip there because he's only 600 on DraftKings, so that's kind of how you win with those like really sleepers. Just a dart because you have to spend money on those other players out of your budget, so you want to get Kamara. Keenan Allen's interesting. I don't know if he's going to be matched up against Marshawn Lattimore because Marshawn Lattimore usually plays on the outside. Keenan Allen playing the slot. So he's getting a ton of targets. Either way, he's a decent play. He's a must-start in season long for sure. And then we got the running backs. It's going to be super interesting to see what they do with the running backs. Is Kelly going to be getting like 65 to 70% of the snaps and Justin Jackson 30, or is it going to be closer to 50-50? I tend to lean towards the former. I do think that Joshua Kelly will probably get the bulk of the work, and then they'll probably use Justin Jackson as a change of pace, more of as a receiver, but, we don't know. We just don't. Hunter Henry, I think, could have a big game because New Orleans has been very suspect against the tight end. I do like Justin Herbert this game as well. New Orleans defense hasn't been the best. We'll see if they get some of their players back, like Marcus Davenport. So, just a quick recap. I like Justin Herbert. I like Herbert more than Breeze. It's a little dicey on Breeze. Love Alvin Kamara. Don't love any other Saints. Keenan Allen's a must start. Hunter Henry's a really good start. He might be somebody that's a buy low as well although depending on how he does tonight, because everybody needs a tight end. Everybody needs a tight end. He's been pretty consistent in what has been an inconsistent position. So I was really disappointed in Mo Alley Cox too. I don't know what's going on in Indy, but Phillip Rivers sucks. Hopefully he loses his job. Maybe they'll even try the rookie. They drafted Eason or whatever if they don't want to do Jacoby Brissett. But right now they're in contention, so we'll have to see. But yeah, I like Herbert. I like Keenan Allen. I think the Charger running backs are a little dicey. I think if you got Kelly, he's a flex at best because the matchup is difficult. And we still don't know how they're going to use them, but most likely you're starting Kelly, especially in this COVID injury-prone climate that we are in. Justin Jackson's a little riskier though. All right. So yeah, there you have it. Cook's back as well. I don't think it's a particularly good start, but again, tight end, it's just terrible. I hate that position. All right, guys. So yeah, there you have it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I gotta rush, but I'm gonna be having a waiver video tomorrow as usual, and then my buy sell hold video. If you're interested in the premium content, I have DFS. I have all products for you guys. The DFS is on fire right now, guys. If you play DFS, let me know. fantasyfootballrapper@gmail.com, or drop a comment or DM me at fantasyfootballrapper on Instagram for all the latest breaking news. And this is where you get the information the quickest. My Twitter is at IamFFRapper. Until next time, guys, thanks for tuning in. Peace. We out.